Greetings, family. Baba here. I just wanted to do a presentation on the 9 parts on the Kemetic soul as viewed from the Kemites. Uh, I have been led to think about, or my mind has been presented the idea of the soul and the importance of the soul and how we devolve from soul into physical entities to drive these meat wagons, bodies, whatever, beasts, whatever you want to call them, around till we turn them back into the earth and we go back to spirit. And it came to my attention, or at least I've been feeling this way, to study this aspect of soul and to see where or how we can use this knowledge to help us bring back Ma'at and banish Isfet to its proper place. All right, so let's get started. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. I'm interested in your views. Let's get started. I always start with a proverb. My proverbs is a man who uses force is afraid of reasoning. In the moment of crisis, the wise build bridges and the foolish build dams. So always be open and share. That's my view, interpretation. And for the first one, never get never relinquish your ability to reason. That's a gift that you have from the Creator, which separates you from animals. Never run from logic. And I like this one. A current view of medical industrial complex. Iatrogenic medicine. Look it up. Hey, Sonny, you look depressed. Here, take some Prozac. You're hyperactive. You need Ritalin. Take this, take that. It's okay. I'm a doctor. Right. Famous last words. The pusher man. Modern day. What is the soul? A spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal, regarded as immortal. This is from the dictionary. I think it's Merriam-Webster. The emotional or intellectual energy or intensity, especially as revealed in a work of art or an artistic performance. And I added this portion because it was missing. That part of the being that connects to the all, the higher frequencies. That part of the being that animates and controls things. And in case you didn't know, if we get to a blackout situation and you have candles, or I should say crayons, you can burn a crayon for 30 minutes as a candle if you don't have a candle. So keep crayons and candles. So hot now here in Texas, I really don't want to think about anything burning. Okay, here we go. 9 parts of the soul. The Kemites taught that the soul contained 9 components. They are the Khat or Ka, the body, Ba, the personality, Ren, the true name, Ka, the vital essence, Shuyet, the shadow, and Jab or Ab, heart, and Ak or Ikhu, the mortal self, Sahu, the judge or spiritual body, Sechem or Sekhem, the life energy. And this is just one person's interpretation. There are others out there. I would say study the Book of Coming Forth by Day by Budge to help with this endeavor of learning. Okay, we're going to study first the Khat, the body. The ancient Kemites taught that the physical form itself was a part of the human soul and called the element the Khat or Ka. So these meat wagons, these beasts, as we affectionately term them, that we drive around on this plane is the Khat. It was the vessel inhabited by the rest of the soul on earth. This is part of the reason mummification became so important to ancient Egyptians. Preserving the physical body was actually preserving an important part of the soul. So there was talk that if the proper frequencies and prayers were made, these mummies could be accessed and information could be gleaned from them, which is fascinating to us. We would think that would never happen. Someone dies, but if it's tied to a matrix of the soul, and this physical body that's mummified can still access that energy field through resonance or whatever, who's to say could not get that information? If people can go into trance state and get information, why couldn't a body revivify and provide information, or resolify? Anyway, scientific view shows that the energy of the physical body can somehow still be in resonance with the being as incarnated even when he dies. Thus, communication with the incarnation can still occur. That's a Kepara, symbol of the creator coming from nothing. The Ba, the personality. It's made up of all the elements of a person that makes them unique. The Ba was a way the soul could move between the mortal realm and the spiritual one. The journey the Ba made between worlds increased significantly after death. The Ba would also frequent the places the person loved when they were still alive, maintaining a link between the parts of the soul which dwell among the stars and the Khat and other elements of the soul which had remained on earth. The Ba was also believed to be connected physically to the body, and it would remain with the Khat when it was not visiting other physical places or communing with the gods. Ren, the true name. Ancient Kemites were given a name at birth which was kept secret to everyone but the gods. This name was considered an extremely important and powerful part of the soul with the ability to destroy a person and their soul permanently. Throughout life, an individual was known only by a nickname so that no one would be able to learn their true Ren and gain the power it contained or the chance and knowledge needed to destroy it. As long as the Ren still existed, a soul had the power to keep on surviving, which is interesting. In an earlier iteration of this I presented to colleagues, we were talking about how Black Americans, Africans in general, have a nickname. We usually pick a nickname for someone and we use that throughout their life. That is, I think, part of the African experience coming through culture as component. Okay, the true name. As long as embalming was correctly completed and mummification was successful, the Ren meant a person and their soul would exist for eternity. Just as preserving the name, the Ren was crucial to preserving the soul. Destroying the Ren was a way of making sure a soul was destroyed forever. This is part of the reason some names of hated figures such as Akhenaten were ritually and destructively removed from monuments and texts after their death. Just a little bit on the side about Akhenaten. The West upholds and loves Akhenaten. I think Akhenaten, just on balance, he was hated because he brought stuff new, but he also, I think, confused things because, and I don't know, maybe he didn't mean to, but he wanted to get back to the one true God. But all of these different expressions of the Creator that some people say are different gods, they're not different gods. They're different expressions or modalities of the creative energy. And people get confused and say that they're different gods. And I guess Akhenaten made it plain that it was just one God. And that's what he wanted to get back to. And there's always the physical component of wanting to profit by priests and other grifters. So if you have preachers, Negro preachers, so to speak, even back in Kemet times. So I guess that's kind of what he was trying to clear out. So I have mixed feelings about this guy. Ka, the vital essence. The Ka was the vital essence of a person which distinguished between life and death. The Egyptians believed that either the fertility goddess Heket or the goddess of childbirth, Meskenet, breathed Ka into a body at the time of birth. The Ka is what made the new infant truly alive. In modern times, we would say that life begins at conception, not birth. Just interesting because they didn't look at a child being alive until it was born, whereas we know that that child manifests actually when it is when the egg and the sperm are united. we have the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, then boom, we have life. Interesting view. The Kemites believed that the cow was sustained throughout life through food and drink. They believed the cow still needed nourishment after death, which is the reason food and drink would be presented to the cow. Presented to the Khat. I'm saying Khat, okay. They did not think the cow still needed to eat the food physically, but thought the nutrients were absorbed by the cow in a supernatural manner after death. With the existence of breatharians, it is understood that food served merely as a symbolic act, not a scientifically necessary act. So that is to say that the food must have been there just maybe more to set the stage, to get the mind right and the spirit right, to contact the deceased ancestor, and that we know that breatharians have shown that people can go without eating for years, contrary to what we've been taught. The Shuyet, the shadow. The ancient Kemites believed the shadow was actually a part of the person's soul. It was ever present, and they believed it contained a part of what makes each individual unique. The Shuyet was believed to be a servant to Anubis, the Egyptian god of death and the afterlife. This Shuyet is considered only a shadow of the person it represented, and not a major or destructive manifestation of the deceased in the physical realm. The shadow could also be considered an agent of Ab and used to execute tasks. At least that's my view, or that's what inspiration I got. The shadow can be a tool used by human beings or Kemites on this plane. It needs to be investigated, of course. Jeb, the heart. The ancient Kemites saw the heart as the home of human emotion. It was also considered the heart, the center of thought, will, and intention. This meant that the job or heart was a very important part of the soul for them, and the word appears in many sayings and expressions in ancient Egyptian writings. While English expressions often refer to the heart as a metaphor, in ancient Egyptian sayings mentioning the heart is referring to the physical heart. As an element of the soul, the job was part of a person used to gain access to the afterlife. The ab was the part of a person used to gain access to the afterlife. The heart would be weighed on a scale against the feather of truth. And if the heart weighed more than the feather, a person was denied access to the afterlife, and their heart was eaten by a demon called Amit, who was described as a fearsome lion-hippo-crocodile hybrid. Modern science has determined that the heart is full of nerve cells and functions as an alternative brain. The same is true for the abdomen, as it is full of nerves and serves as an alternative brain. So this whole idea of heartfelt or gut check or gut sense, it's some truth to it. Ikhu, the immortal self. The Ak was a magical combination of the elements Ba and Khat, which represented the enlightened immortal being after death. This magical unification of Ba and Khat would only be possible if the correct funerary rites were performed after death. The Ak did not stay with the Khat as many other elements of the soul did. It lived amongst the stars with the gods, though it did return to the body on occasion if necessary. It was a representation of the intellect, will, and intention of a person. The Ak was also the aspect of the soul which could reconnect through loved ones by appearing to them in their dreams. That's why we pour out libation to our ancestors and call out their names. The Sahu, the judge and spiritual body. Sahu was actually a further aspect of the Ak. As soon as the soul had been deemed worthy of entering the afterlife, the Sahu would separate from all other forms of the soul The Sahu was said to haunt those who had wronged a person in life, protect those the soul had loved. Just as the Ikhu could appear in a person's dreams, the Sahu could appear into a person. It was often considered a vengeful spirit and could be blamed for any ill fortunes. So it could be also like an astral body in this plane, and I think we could probably access it and use it if studied appropriately. The Sechem or Sekhem life energy, and it's another element of the Ikhu. It is considered a kind of life energy of the soul. The Sechem was present in the afterlife after judgment had been passed and the soul was considered worthy. May also have been used to control the physical surroundings and outcomes of a person and their actions. Like the Ankh, the Sekhem did not reside within the Khat and the physical body, but among the stars with the gods and goddesses. And in conclusion, we have the way ancient Kemites divided the soul is indicative of how important it was to them. It was clearly something which had been thought about in a tremendous amount of detail, and it was the crux of their beliefs about the afterlife and how a person could reach it. Their beliefs about the soul also dictated the way they treated a body after death. Conclusion continued. Mummification, an iconic part of ancient Egyptian culture, was a result of their beliefs about the Khat and other parts of the soul needing a place to live. The 9 aspects of the soul have influenced many other parts of Egyptian culture. The soul was pivotal to much of the culture and society of ancient Egypt. Very important.